Everybody ready? All good? Okay. Would everyone rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our first meeting of 2024. I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday, restful, healthy, and happy, and Happy New Year's as well. We have a couple items to get to before we go into our business agenda, and the first is a public hearing for consideration of tax exemptions. We've considered some items before like this. The state gives the district the option to grant tax exemptions to different groups, and tonight we're considering, hearing about tax exemptions that can be offered by the school district for senior citizens with low income, persons with disabilities, and volunteer firefighter and ambulance workers. And then we would take up in a separate vote the exemptions on another day, probably at our next business meeting. But first, to tell us a little about, in more specific, these exemptions, Mr. Conway. And I know, just before Mr. Conway gets going, I believe we have some people here who would also like to address the board on the public hearing, and once Mr. Conway finishes his presentation, there'll be an opportunity to do so.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Conway, and as Mr. Ciapetta said, tonight we're going to just have a brief public hearing on some tax exemptions up for consideration by the board. So let me just change this slide. The hardest part is the slide. So recently, the Town of Huntington Board has adopted some changes regarding real property tax exemptions in accordance with changes adopted by the New York State Legislature. The three we're going to discuss tonight in brief detail is the senior citizens with limited income, persons with disabilities with limited income, and the volunteer firefighter and ambulance worker exemptions. So the law currently requires school districts to hold a public hearing just to allow the community to hear and discuss these proposed changes. And as Mr. Ciapetta just said, on January 24th, our next board meeting is when the Board of Ed will make a determination as to whether or not we will adopt these changes and offer these exemptions to the residents of South Huntington. So if I could just take a few moments to dive into the senior citizens with limited income, excuse me, and persons with disabilities and limited income. Overall, the New York State Legislature has authorized municipalities to increase the income range when being placed on the exemption chart from a current max of $37,400 to $58,400, and that's based on a sliding scale of one's income. Pretty much consists of three main parts. The income year for both of these exemptions will now be 2 years prior to the assessment. And what that essentially means is if you're looking at a 2024 exemption year, they would be referring to your 2022 tax return to factor that. Point number two, self-explanatory. They've added gender-neutral language into the documents. And this slide here goes over some of the changes I'd like to highlight with income calculations. Income calculation changes which are going to have an effect on placement within the chart. So going forward, tax-exempt interest and dividends will be added to your income when looking for placement on the chart. The next one speaks to loss limitation categories currently limited to $3,000 each and $15,000 max. And what that means is a homeowner may or may not have certain exemption schedules on their tax return. If they do, there are now limitations on how much of those exemptions would be factored into their return and when placement on the schedule. The next two I'll take together, taxable IRA distributions and Social Security benefits. These will both now be included as part of income when factoring your placement on the exemption table. And lastly, unreimbursed medical expenses and prescription expenses that are not covered by insurance. These will now be deducted from one's income when looking for placement on the new tables. So if I could briefly run through the table we're looking at here. On the far left, you'll see the exemption level percentages that are in place. The center column there shows the current limits according to each exemption range. And then lastly, on the right side is the proposed changes, should the board choose to adopt, that would be in effect. So just for a quick illustration, the top one there at 50%, to qualify for this exemption today, you would need an income of $29,000 or less. Going forward, this would now be changed to $50,000 or less. And if you jump down onto the bottom, you see it would be 5% of the exemption level if the current income limitation of a max of $37,400, and as I said earlier, this would be increasing to a max of $58,400. And that, as you can see, is varying percentages based on a sliding scale of the income amounts.
So the top, when they say exemption level, that means they get a 50% exemption on their taxes, right?
For the school piece of that, correct.
Okay.
And then on this next slide here, what does that mean for our community here? So with regards to these two exemptions, currently we have approximately 425 households taking advantage of the senior citizen exemptions, and we have approximately 20 households that benefit from the disability and limited income exemption. There is further information on the town's website for all of these exemptions. I have a link later on in the slide to speak to that. And okay, jumping over to the volunteer firefighter and ambulance workers. So the changes here are primarily due to changes at the New York State level, which combine certain aspects into a single real property tax law in order to allow the town of Huntington to continue these exemptions. So the new law reads that the exemption may be up to 10%. In our case, currently the town of Huntington is already awarding that 10%, so no change with this one here should it be adopted. The new law now also reads that minimum service requirements range from 2 to 5 years. The town of Huntington has already adopted a resolution allowing the New York State change to now be 2 years. So again, this would be favorable. The new law reads that after 20 years of service, of active service, recipients may qualify for a 10% exemption for life. And once again, that is currently something the town of Huntington is operating on. All right. These next two. An unremarried spouse of a recipient killed in the line of duty may continue this exemption if the recipient had previously been enrolled for at least 5 years. And in the next one is an unremarried spouse of a deceased firefighter may continue this if the recipient had been enrolled for at least 20 years prior. And the town of Huntington has already have consistency with both of these adoptions, these points rather. And the old law used to allow for recipients who lived in cooperative apartments to receive this exemption. The new law does not. And just a point worth noting is firefighters do not have to reside in the district they serve, but they do have to reside obviously in the town of Huntington to take advantage of that benefit. So again, what does this mean to our community? We would have approximately today 158 volunteer firefighter and ambulance households which are benefiting from these exemptions. And again, my note there references the town's website, which does have further information on it. So let me just change the slide. Oops, I missed that slide. All right, so who does this impact? As far as the school district itself, we have zero financial impact to this. The tax levy that our voters approve each year, we still collect 100% of that. What it essentially does, should it be approved, is these three categories we spoke about, the seniors with limited income, the persons with disabilities and limited income, and then the volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers, they have the opportunity to get a partial tax break on the school district portion of their taxes. And should that be granted to their household by the town, that dollar of tax burden is merely shifted to a member that's not part of one of those three categories. So it essentially is shifting of tax dollars from homeowner A to homeowner B, C, or D down the road. So some general information as far as the authority that school districts do and do not have. We do not have the ability to establish assessed values, nor do we set the tax rate. We cannot identify what exemptions should be made available to homeowners, nor do we approve or disapprove homeowners' individual requests. Those are things done by the town. What we can do is provide the authority for the town to identify at what level an exemption can be provided. So the purpose of tonight's hearing is to make that determination next week at the board meeting. Should the board so choose, we would then be allowing the town to offer these to the town members. Typically, there would be consistency between authorities in doing so, and also those with limited incomes, we would offer them the ability to receive a maximum benefit as provided by law. And that's it. So as I mentioned earlier, this presentation will be available on our website after tonight's meeting for further review. And I provided some links here. There is additional information which can be found on the town's website. The first link there to some further exemption details, and then there's some contact information for the assessor's office and as well as her phone number. So that's all I have. I don't know if there's any questions or
Questions from the board to Mr. Conway? This was a nice presentation. Thank you. This is the statutes are pretty dense on this and confusing, and they constantly change things. But so I think distilled it pretty well. Questions? Okay, great. And I believe Suffolk County has also adopted it because each taxing jurisdiction has to approve it, and their taxing jurisdiction obviously only controls their taxes, right? So the town of Huntington, when they approve it for reduction in town taxes. The county taxes, and obviously the school district has the biggest portion of taxes, so we would be authorizing it for reduction in school taxes. I think we have a number of people here who would like to address the board to give their thoughts on this. We did receive a letter from the Melville Fire Department, so I don't know if anyone's here from Melville who wants to address that. Anyone from Melville? Okay, great. And I assume then we have Huntington Manor in the back? Yeah. Okay. I don't know who wants to speak. One person on the group, whoever wants to come on up. Just if you can give your name for the record.
James Liddon, Chief of Huntington Manor Fire Department.
Thank you, Chief.
We'd ask that you approve this. Keep it in, as you said, there's only 150 members taking advantage of this right now. There's I believe five districts, fire districts that live in this school district. So you'll be helping out more than just Huntington Manor. It'll be Huntington, Cold Spring Harbor, Melville. You have a couple from Dix Hills and Cold Spring Harbor districts, and Huntington Community First Aid.
And Chief, I know I spoke with one of the commissioners from Melville. It seemed to be one of the big things here was recruitment, and there was a change from 5 years to 2. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, it's a big deal. We're having a lot of members that are moving out of the districts because it's too expensive to buy a home. Any break they can get will help us keep them as members with us, which will then keep them in the district.
That helps
So
you
any little bit helps us.
that helps your recruitment
Yeah,
for the
absolutely.
firefighters? Okay.
Yeah.
Is it tougher to get firefighters?
It is right now because we're getting the younger people, and then they find a girlfriend or a husband and they get married and they move out of the district
Okay.
to a more affordable home. So if we can get them to stay in the district, it benefits us, it benefits you, it helps quite a bit.
Yeah, well, you guys do great work.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, unfortunately over the holiday, my mom needed assistance from the Melville Fire Department, and they came, they do a great job. Anyone else like to address the board?
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, great. Okay, we'll close the public hearing and we'll take it up for a vote on the 24th. Thank you, everybody. Okay. And moving along, we have a second presentation. This one is to update the board on the progress of our initiative from last year, which was adding a ninth period day to the schedule. Dr. Murphy is going to talk about how that's being implemented and helping our students.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ciapetta, Board of Education, Dr. D'Elia. So I was tasked with giving some information. We are in our second, we're in our second year of scheduling for a 9-period day. When we first came to the Board of Education, we promised some things that we wanted to make sure that we followed through with. One of them is when we first had the 9-period day before it was relinquished, we had a lot of students that had study halls who were not utilizing the 9-period effectively enough. So we wanted to make sure that we provided you some statistical information to make sure that you know we're doing the job that you tasked us for, because we appreciate the money that we put into making sure that a 9-period day was something of a reality at the high school. So just to give a history lesson, and these numbers are the last year that we had a 9-period day before it was removed in 2011. We had 1,896 students with 152 teachers and offered 257 courses. We only at that time had 40 ICT courses, and we had 1,100 study hall seats, meaning we had 1,100 students, or not students, but periods where a study hall was taken. This year in 23-24, we have more students. We have 2,038 students at the building. Our master schedule lists 167 teachers, which is 15 more than we had in 2010-11. We offer 290 courses, which we talked about, and it's something with the Curriculum Council where we've offered and accepted more courses to give some variety to students. We actually now have 70 ICT classes. But the big part here is we promised that we would not have students partaking in a 9-period day study halls. We moved from 1,100 study hall seats to 349. That's a major decline by more than 2/3 to make sure that students are taking advantage of these extra class periods.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So the benefits of a 9-period day, just to go review with the community and the Board of Education, it gives us the ability to have more elective choices. We see that students that are going to college, they change major to major to major. Why? Because they really don't know what they want to do when they get to college. So by giving more opportunity, more ability to find what their passions are within a high school setting only helps us as parents and also as educators to make sure that students are going in the right path. We at least have more knowledge before making that choice and selecting a school or a career pathway. It also allows us to give academic extra support. Now, COVID, kind of put Regents on hold, but Regents are back in full force this coming June. So being able to give some extra support to whether you're an AP student or a student that is in a Regents class but needs that little extra to make sure that they're going to pass their Regents and go on to get their diploma is important. We also wanted to make sure that we have an amazing fine arts program, but if you don't have the time to be participating in that fine arts program, it really doesn't matter what type of fine arts program you have or other programs you have. So giving that extra period allows us to do that for our students and really cultivate the whole child and making sure that we're getting all their interests. And to increase the amount of AP electives or AP courses at the high school. Since I was when I started at the high school, we've been cited by national agencies on how much work we've done. So everything from College Board to other institutions saying the work that we've done to make sure that all our students are experiencing AP coursework is amazing. And just to give some perspective, I'll show you a number that kind of transcends that once we put in the 9-period day. So just to give a quick show, this is what a 9-period day looks like for a 9th grader. Before, there was no ability to take elective classes. As you can see, every year, 9th through 12th now gives them an ability to take something that might find their interest, whether it be in art, music, robotics, computer science, an elective within the social sciences, psychology, education. There are so many different pathways that they're able to choose because of this 9-period day. As I mentioned before, we give AIS support. So just to give you perspective, we've been able to service 276 students since the start of the school year to give them some support, whether it be their just normal coursework or as we prep them for the January and June Regents. In terms of our AP info, and this is something that is a staggering number, the number of AP seats we had in 2022, which was our last 8-period day, was 1,050. Today, the amount of students going in is 1,390. That is a direct correlation to being able to have that extra period to take on an AP course or to get the support for that AP course. So we're seeing that's a significant increase in just a short amount of time to say we have more students taking advanced placement. And the biggest part that we want to see, because we've learned through studies that if a student is exposed to an AP or college level course at the high school level, they have a much better ability to be able to stick through and finish college and be able to finish the coursework and be with that experience. And 50% of our students already right now, despite their learning disabilities or their language deficiencies, are now taking an AP course at Walt Whitman High School. And that over the last couple of years, you've seen a dramatic increase. That number when I did first come in was around 21%. So just to give a quick overview of the new courses offered, the Curriculum Council, I've been fortunate as both my role in cabinet, but also now as high school principal to offer a multitude of courses. The people in the Curriculum Council, teachers, Board of Education members have been really instrumental in making sure we're finding the interest of students. So in English, these are just our electives that are offered. I've highlighted in yellow the ones that we've just enrolled in the last 2 years. So in English, you see things, even just Dylan American Poet, mythology, college and business writing, which are big keys, for especially preparing students for college. And a lot of our students go into the business field or that want to go to school for business. Sports literature, which is one of our biggest electives right now, which is combined with social studies and English, as they spend one day with an English teacher, one day with a social studies teacher, and they learn about sports literature and then the history of sports throughout America. Dystopian truths, which I like to call science fiction, but my chair continues to call it dystopian truths, but it's science fiction and literature. For our fine arts electives, the ones in yellow, we just added through the Curriculum Council jewelry making, museum studies, everyone can dance, which is also their phys ed course. We have
Not everyone can dance.
Yeah, well, they say that everyone can dance. I haven't gone there yet, but I'll let you
They
know.
haven't seen me.
One of the biggest things we did with Chef is music production and engineering. We actually have a recording studio at the high school. They're actually taking classes on how to, they can take an elective class to learn how to engineer recordings that students do on their free time and within their current elective schedule. We also have been able to reintroduce music theory and AP music theory. So this really rounds out our fine arts coursework. And again, they're able to take these because of the 9-period day. Our math, science, and tech electives, as we start to move in, a lot of upperclassmen, really not all, we have ones that are designed for 9th graders. You see on the left-hand side, just the ones in yellow are new. But these are all of them that can be taken by a 9th grader. And the ones on the right are 10th and 12th. Things that I like to look in here that are very interesting, and these are really a result of the pandemic. Patient Zero talks about viral outbreaks, not just COVID, but the Spanish flu, the bubonic plague, how that played a part in history. So we actually have a class designated or designed for that. We've really extended our computer science programs with the 9-period day, artificial intelligence, video game design, web design, DDP, which really goes into advertising. These are all things that students are finding interest in, and they get to cultivate that interest to hopefully inspire them to continue that at the college level. I want basic auto care because too many kids don't even know how to fill up their gas tank. I'm not going to lie, so that's a good thing. For social studies, which is our social science department, we've really improved upon one, not just, we talk a lot globally because our world is getting smaller through technology, but we lose so much of ourselves and our community. So we've brought things in such as Long Island history, American history of American movies, even bringing in, which you'll see on the top left, which is going to be a goal for next year. We already have students. Every freshman student, because of the 9-period day, because now we require lunch, every freshman student will be taking a leadership course. Now, this leadership course is a 10-week, every other day course, and it's designed to promote school culture, to get them civically engaged with their students, with their teachers, and to make sure they get a sense of self. And this is for all students, whether you're an E&L student, a special education student, or an AP student, and they will all be heterogeneous so that we build this inclusion to, because we have a great diverse student population, and what better to have that thrive by making sure that they're making those connections at an early age in freshmen. So I'm very excited about that freshman leadership course. Our business, we've been able to add, these are just our electives in business. Again, as we start to expand and we get students to find their interests, we're able to offer these types of things, whether they be community service programs, Wall Street, or even social media, learning it the right way, not being on Snapchat or anything else and learning and utilizing it the wrong way, but making sure they understand the amazing abilities of social media and digital technology rather than just the social functions of it. Our family consumer sciences, one of the things that the Board of Education and Dr. D'Elia have tasked the high school with is building a pipeline for our students. We really truly believe, as a parent and district resident, I truly believe that hiring somebody who comes from the district, they have ownership to that school, they have ownership to those students because they sat in the same seats. But the problem is that teaching is not a field where a lot of students go into. So giving them some coursework to see if they would like teaching and making that pipeline so that that student gets interested about it before they go to college. They have their experiences and they come back to us as an educator so that we can start hiring our own within the community. Within our health, again, a result of the pandemic, we've added 3 new courses. One, Introduction to Sports Medicine, but one more important is Global Health and Mental Health. This has allowed students to really understand what they've gone through the post-pandemic and how they were able to navigate the world and not let the stresses overcome them. So these are just a few of not a few, but all the courses we've offered. I wanted to say thank you to the Board of Education and allowing us to really, and the Curriculum Council, to expand upon our coursework. I talk to principals and administrators all the time. If they look at our course outline, they are amazed at our course outline book and the amount of classes we're able to take. Because we've made it student selection process. Students guide what we teach every year. Obviously the basics we always keep, but we find because interests of students change from year to year and from generation to generation. So the work we've been able to do over the last couple of years and what we're going to continue to do allow us to give one of the most comprehensive course outline books on Long Island to make sure we have the interest of students in mind. Do I have any questions from the board or from the community?
Great, thanks, Dr. Murphy.
Thank you so
A lot
much.
going on, great stuff, thank you. Okay, we'll move into our agenda. Take a motion to adopt the agenda. Mr. Joyner, seconded by Mr. Scragg. Oh, thank you, gentlemen.
Dr. Murphy, that's a lot, it's okay.
You know, Mr. Ryan, I look forward to seeing you at next class, all right?
All in favor of the agenda? Any opposed? All right. Items E through H require one resolution for adoption. Is there a motion? Mr. Biangasso, seconded by Mr. Scragg. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Communications are listed. We have a letter from the Melville Fire Department regarding the property tax exemption. We just discussed this. They're not here, so we'll move along. All right, and we will move on to new business. Item number 1 is the appeal of suspension, and you have a couple in your book. So we're going to go with the first one and not the second one. Is there a motion? Mr. Joyner, seconded by Mr. Bronson. And so this would be a resolution to deny the appeal of the superintendent's suspension heard in exec session. All in favor of denying the appeal? Any opposed? Okay. So the appeal is denied. And Ms. Caliendo will follow up with notifying the parent and letting them know their options. Moving on to new business item number 2 is the approval of NISISLAT data for a dissertation. Is there a motion? Mr. Scragg, seconded by Mr. Bronson. Dr. D'Elia?
Yes, one of our teachers, our wonderful teachers from Oakwood, E&L teacher, Ms. Elizabeth D'Souza. Sousa is working on a dissertation regarding, that involves student data from the district. That's why she's here seeking approval. But her dissertation is very interesting and can help the district out. And her focus is E&L students' performance on the NISISLAT based on their enrollment in the dual language program and the monolingual English program, and the teacher perception of best practices. As a district here, we're always looking to strengthen all of our programs, K-12. And I know this is something she's doing twofold for her practice and also to earn a doctorate. And I think it's great student data that we'll be able to, hopefully she will share with us. And we could sit down at the end and see how we could strengthen our programs here. So.
Great. Anything you'd like to add or? Okay, we're covered? Okay, great.
Thank you.
Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving on to new business. Item number 3 is the approval of obsolete items. Is there a motion? Mr. Biangasso, seconded by Mr. Bronson. Dr. Fulton? Oh, yeah.
Yes, for your approval, we are requesting the surplus of the items listed on the memorandum. These are obsolete items that are no longer able to be used in the special ed department and are assistive technology.
Okay, board have any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? New business item number 4 is the approval of a health services agreement with the Seaford Union Free School District. Do we have a motion? Mr. Scragg, second. Mr. Joyner. Mr. Conway?
Thank you, Mr. Iapetta. So tonight for the board's approval is a contract between Seaford Schools and South Huntington Schools. Very typical contract with health services billing, where it results from a student residing in one district and attending a private or parochial school in another. The district where the private or parochial school is located provides health services and then bills back the district the student resides in. So this in particular is between these two districts. It goes both ways. We'll bill other districts and they bill us. So this will be one of many that you'll start to see coming in the coming weeks.
Yep. Okay, great. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Moving on to new business, item number 5 is the approval of an agreement between the district and the Christopher School. Motion? Mr. Scragg, seconded by Mr. Biangasso. Dr. Fulton?
Yes, this is an updated contract for the 23-24 school year to allow one of our students who was placed at this residential location during CSE in the spring to continue to be enrolled in the Christopher School for the current school year.
Okay. This matter was discussed in exec session. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Moving on to new business item number 6, approval of an agreement between the South Huntington School District and Half Hollow Hills School District for District of Residence, District of Location Agreement. Motion. Mr. Joyner, seconded by Mr. Bronson. Dr. Fulton again.
Okay, this is an agreement with our district and Half Hollow Hills. Half Hollow Hills has private schools within their district and are providing special education services to our students who are South Huntington residents.
Okay, great. Thank you. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving on to new business item number 7, approval of an agreement between the South Huntington School District and the West Islip. Motion. Mr. Biangasso, seconded by Mr. Scragg, and this is very similar to the agreement that we just approved with Half Hollow Hills. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving on to item number 8 is the approval agreement between the Elwood School District and the South Huntington School District for participation on the South Huntington School District's fencing team. Motion. Mr. Bronson, seconded by Mr. Scragg. Dr. Murphy.
Yes, this is just an agreement. Sometimes we have it with some of our athletic groups where some districts do not have enough players or they don't have enough to form a team, so they go with other districts. This is Elwood coming into working with our fencing team. We have done these in the past, and it's something that's normal. Elwood's had a good relationship with us.
Thank you.
Elwood's had a good relationship with us in terms of bringing fencers over because they don't have enough numbers.
One only thing I was questioning here or confused about was it said Coach Zachary will be one student's coach and then a separate coach will be the other student's coach. Do you know what that means?
They do it they do it sometimes with payments. They'll bring sometimes their own coaches over, and they just share the responsibility. But I think within the contract it just says that this district's responsible for that coach.
Okay. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving on to new business. Item number 9 is the approval of travel allowance for the position of Supervisor of Administrative Services. Motion. Mr. Scragg, seconded by Mr. Biangasso. Dr. D'Elia.
Yes, this position involves a lot of traveling within the day. This position incorporates, we're looking at our capital projects, and we have a lot of them going on. So within a school day, this individual could be traveling to 3 or 4 buildings within a day to get updates and to be, as involved as they are within the program. And also this individual is involved with our 21st Century Grant, which takes place at Oakwood, and there's a daily visit to there also. So there's a lot of travel within the day. Very purposeful.
Great. All in favor? Any opposed? And moving on to number 10, approval of agreement between South Huntington and Huntington School District. Motion. Mr. Joyner, seconded by Mr. Bronson. Dr. Steele?
Yes, we have a family that are residents of South Huntington and send their child to private school. And in that school, they offer a special program that is sponsored through the Huntington School District. So for us to send our child there, we have to go into contract with or an agreement with the Huntington School District, and there is a fee that's required for this program, but the parents are willing to pay that fee, which is part of the agreement.
And this had been discussed in exec session previously. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving on to item number 11, Dr. Steele's favorite, approval of confidentiality and data security agreements. Motion? Ms. LaCara, seconded by Mr. Biangasso. Dr. Steele?
Sure, we have 2 tonight. We have Maker's Empire, which is a 3D modeling computer program that would be used along with our 3D printers. And then we have CK12, which is also a learning platform that supports STEM education in the middle school.
Okay, great. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Item 12, approval for the superintendent, board president, and anyone else to attend the Nassau-Suffolk School Boards Association, Suffolk County Superintendents Association, and any other joint conference at the Huntington. A lot of acronyms there. I gave up on them. motion. Ms. LaCara, seconded by Mr. Bronson. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Anyone else that wants to attend, please let Ms. Caliendo know. And we have the placements. We have placement items for Committee on Special Education, preschool special education dates listed. Do we have a motion? Mrs. Gregg, seconded by Mr. Bronson. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, we'll skip over item K, personnel for now, because we have returned to executive session to do some interviews, and information reports are listed. Curriculum Committee meeting minutes, December 21st. Ms. LaCara, anything to update the board on?
Just quickly, we're going to be running 2 pilot programs in the elementary ELA. Picking one, it's going to be the Savas or HMH. Both programs have a K through 6 and dual language component, and the pilots are going to run till April 15th, and then they will decide on a program based on teacher, parent, and administrative feedback. And we're looking for a new program to align the curriculum better. And then the SOAR and the credit recovery programs are continuing at Whitman. And I'm being quick because I know we have a lot to do.
No problem.
And everything's in the minutes. And John spoke about the new courses that they put in, and the scheduling, I think, is going, they're listing it now. At the end of February, it will be done. And I think the minutes said that they generally run new courses if there's more than, can't be under 12. And generally, the new courses will run with 20 to 22, I think, to get the interest up, right? Okay.
Good. All right. Very efficient. Thank you, Ms. LaCara, and thank you for helping to usher in all those new exciting courses. We offer quite a rich course catalog. Future meetings are listed. We have Wednesday, January 24th there. We're actually going to also have Thursday, January 18th next week. It'll be a special board meeting, largely for the purpose of being in executive session, but I do think we will have some new business items as well. Comments by board members? All right. Dr. D'Elia.
Yes, thank you. I hope everybody had a great holiday season. Just 2 quick things I want to talk about regarding the governor, who, I don't know if you've probably heard or read, she is proposing to put $10 million into reading and reading instruction. And we're looking very closely at what the focus is, the science of reading. And I know we've started to infuse it here at the primary level, but it's something that's very important. And, we're not out of, when COVID loss, we're not 100% out of it. There's no doubt. But I'm going to have Dr. Steele talk a little bit about, the science of reading and the professional development that the governor is offering $10 million in.
Sure. So the science of reading is really a term that references over 50 years of research done in reading instruction. And it provides evidence on reading and writing development. And as research has evolved about brain development, it's really rooted in proper timing and proper protocols for introducing certain forms of reading and writing instruction. It derives from multiple fields: cognitive psychology, developmental psychology, special education, linguistics, neuroscience, school psychology, and it's been done worldwide. What's noted mostly is that it's not a one-size-fits-all. It is not a program. It's a body of research that is to be used to guide instruction. So today, I attended along with Dr. Hender, the principal of Maplewood, and Jessica Farmer, our humanities coach. We attended a New York State literacy initiative hosted by New York State. It was quite the unique experience. It was a hybrid session, and there were districts across the state that had specific sites where they joined. So we were at Western Suffolk BOCES with many other districts. It was opened by the commissioner virtually, hosted by Deputy Commissioner Angelique Johnson. And it was led by Dr. Lasso, who is a Columbia University professor who partnered with New York State to develop 7 literacy briefs, which have been released today. And these briefs are what the districts across the state are expected to use to drive and guide literacy instructional practices. The briefs, the first two briefs, are pretty much defining what the science of reading is and what it's not. Brief 3 is explaining the marriage between reading and writing development. And then brief 4, 5, and 6 gets into the instructional expectations for pre-K, elementary, and secondary. So this just isn't a primary or an elementary initiative. It is considered to be K-12. And brief 7 really outlines the implementation. So although this is a new initiative, they're not expecting us to make any immediate changes, but they are pretty much preparing us for that. This is the expectation down the road. We are expecting a checklist to be shared with us from the state sometime in the near future, but the expectation is for us to start having these conversations about the science of reading within districts.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Dr. Steele.
Thank you, Dr. Steele.
And also, one other piece that she mentioned in her preview to the State of the State, which will be next Tuesday, is mental health. She's calling it her greatest challenge. So for us, we have a super supportive board here who strongly believes in mental health support as we increased our staff in mental health. We also have a great partnership, one of, I think, 8 districts with Northwell Health. But listen, we know it's significant. And I'll be very interested to see, where the governor's looking to go, whether it's staffing, program, we just don't know. So come next Tuesday, we'll be able to probably get a better understanding of where she's going with this. But I think it's going to be kind of significant because with her calling it her greatest challenge, I think there's going to be some monies that are really going to be dedicated to this issue. And so we'll be all ears. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right. Mrs. Smellian.
Good evening, everybody. I hope everyone had a very happy New Year and a relaxing and joyous holiday season. Tonight, and I'll be brief, I would like to talk about the ideal of new beginnings. New beginnings provide an opportunity for growth and improvement. They signify a fresh start, allowing individuals and organizations like our district to reflect on past experiences, learn from them, and implement positive changes to achieve better outcomes in the future. The concept of new beginnings contributes to cultivating a positive organizational culture and encourages a forward-thinking mindset, fosters a sense of optimism, and creates an environment where every individual is more likely to collaborate and contribute to their success of the institution. New beginnings often coincide with strategic planning and goal setting, and this allows school districts like our own to define their objectives, prioritize initiatives, and align efforts towards achieving measurable and impactful outcomes. Let us seize this moment to shape the future of education in the South Huntington School District, and together, as a united board, dedicated educators, and supportive community, we can embark on a journey of growth and excellence in the year of 2024. This week, I had the absolute pleasure of meeting with Mr. Dimitri Bernadelle and the students at Birchwood. When I first got to Birchwood, I sat down with Mr. Bernadelle and I asked him a few questions that I was going to ask the students, to ask him what he thinks they would say and what he would say as a student at Birchwood. And one question that stood out to me is, I said, "What does Birchwood mean to you?" And he instantly said, "Family." And I said, "What do you think the students will say?" He said, "I think they'll say family as well." And without a doubt, when I asked them, they said family. And when I asked them to describe Birchwood, they used places like family, home, safety, a place where I can go and be myself. And I was really impressed with 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders who were able to articulate themselves in such a manner. And I asked Mr. Bernadelle what they say their favorite thing about Birchwood would be, and he said he really didn't know. So I asked them, and one student said their favorite thing was they do social emotional learning. And I was blown away. And another student said the learning that their teachers provide for them. And I also asked them what Birchwood has instilled in them, and all of them, almost all of them, said their love to read. And then we spoke about what they wanted to add to their already amazing school. And the students came up with beautifying the school by adding more gardens. We talked about a social studies event, like a human wax museum, and so much more that I look forward to working with Mr. Bernadelle and hand in hand with Birchwood to make happen. I was really, truly amazed about how amazing Birchwood is and how it continues to flourish. And I thank Mr. Bernadelle and Ms. Shum for having me, and I hope to return soon. And I look forward to meeting with Dr. Hender in Maplewood to experience all the amazing things that are going on there. Next week, or in the coming weeks, I look forward to pushing into Stimson, actually into the lunch periods. It was Mr. Duggan's idea, and I think it's a very good idea to really get every student's perspective, to get a variety of different students' perspective on what they think about Stimson. And I think this could really go a long way. And I look forward to continue to represent them in the best way possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Great report. Thank you. That'd be cool, right? And we'll make our own show, Undercover Student. Okay. Voice of the resident? Any residents want to address the board? Okay. We will then take a motion to, what's that? Oh, yes, thank you. If somebody, we're doing our live streaming as normal, and I just wanted to note that the live streaming has been done over the last couple of years, and as well as many, many other tasks by one of our trustee PR employees, Mr. Thomas Ciravolo, who's been with the district for a number of years and helped shape our public relations department as it is now, which I think is by far one of the most successful on the island, if not the most successful, between the amount of press that we get and the Instagram postings and everything else that we do to shine a spotlight on the amazing work that happens at South Huntington from our teachers and our students. And so I want to thank Thomas, who will be going on to new opportunities that are great for him in the town of Huntington. So thank you, Thomas, for everything you've done for South Huntington, and we appreciate it. We know your heart is always here as an employee and a graduate of South Huntington, and we know you're going to make us proud in your new endeavors. So thank you. All right. Our live streaming is not done, though, because we need to go into executive session to discuss a matter of personnel and to do some interviews, so we expect to return. So take a motion to go into executive session for those purposes. Mr. Bronson, seconded by Mr. Scragg and Ms. Lecaro. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. See you soon. right, good. I'll take a vote to go back into public from exec session. Motion? Mr. Joyner, seconded by Mr. Biagasso. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, and we had skipped over item K, personnel, and so we'll go back to the personnel schedules. Is there a motion to adopt personnel? Mr. Bronson, seconded by Ms. LaCara. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Oh, okay. So we had 5 in favor and 1 abstention. Thank you. And I want to announce an appointment, which was the purpose of our executive session. We interviewed 3 phenomenal candidates for assistant superintendent for secondary education, and we have reached a consensus on an appointment for Amanda Kavanaugh, who comes from us very highly regarded from the Hewlett-Woodmere Public School District, where she's currently serving as assistant superintendent for technology, learning, and teaching. And she's been doing that in that role since July of 2022. And prior to that, she also served in Hewlett-Woodmere as the Director of Instructional and Administrative Technology. And we look forward to working with her and having her help us with our technical literacy and bringing us into the, taking our district to the next level. And congratulate our cabinet on bringing us wonderful candidates. And Amanda's not here tonight. She went home given the late hour, but she might be watching online. Congratulations. Welcome to South Huntington. And we look forward to you joining our district and our cabinet. Dr. Lee, you want anything?
No, I would just like to thank the board. I know we had 3 extensive interviews with 3 phenomenal candidates, and we're looking forward to Amanda's arrival to be part of our team and continue to move our district ahead. So thank you to the board.
Great. All right. Take a motion to adjourn. Mr. Biagasso, seconded by Mr. Scragg. All in favor? Any opposed? All right.